So we are live. Hey everyone, welcome you all to Symbol.ai Hackathon Session 3 Transform.
Welcome to the Hack of Earth Integrate to Disrupt Session Transform.
We would love to see from which city have you joined in. Do let us know in the chat section.
We're going to go ahead and give you guys a minute or so to start joining the stream.
Yeah.
Great. It looks like there's been enough time for people to join the stream. So let's go ahead and go into Symbol AI 101. Oh, we just got a comment in the chat from Bhavani Chandra Vajia.
Hi. It's from Hyderabad, India.
Hey, welcome.
And I hope you folks are having a great time building with Symbol.ai. We are really looking forward to your submissions.
Yep, we are looking forward to the submissions that you're submitting. We hope that you're creating submissions around the 3 ideas or themes that we came up with to inspire development with Symbol AI's APIs and SDKs. For those of you who just joined the stream, I'm Eric. I'm the lead developer advocate at Symbol AI. I'm here with Akansha Bashin, who is our community advocate. If you haven't had, go ahead, Akansha.
Yeah. So we are really excited. We had great time for the ideation phase and we were looking for your projects now. So get ready for the building phase. And in the meantime, those who have joined like the symbol stream for the first time, do sign up on the platform and get the symbol collection up and running. And we will be also sharing the link for the hackathon.
Yep, if you haven't had a chance to join the hackathon, right now is a great time. If you join the hackathon now, you'll be able to receive additional minutes with which to create a winning submission. I'll go ahead and show you guys the Hacker Earth page to introduce you to the Hacker Earth Hackathon. As I mentioned earlier, the place to sign up for the hackathon will be on this website. If you click here, register now, it'll take you through the process of signing up. I wanted to point you in the direction of the 3 themes. Previously, we had done a session on Connect, on the Visualize, and on Transforming. There's also a session on Innovate for those of you who have a use case or an idea, an MVP, a POC, scaffold, or wireframe that may not fall within one of the three themes, you can still submit that as an idea for a later submission to compete for the prizes. Great.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and go into the next step of the Symbol AI 101. Before we do that, I want to let Akansha Boshin give you a quick overview of what Symbol AI is, and then I'll bounce back to the slide that will lead us through the process of getting up and running after you get your minutes. Go ahead, Akansha.
And in the meantime, I'm also dropping links for signing up on the platform. So here's the promo code that you can use, and you will get like additional 3,000 minutes. And I'm also sharing the Postman collection. You can, on the side by side, you can get it up and running. Yeah. Okay, so let's get started. The first part is to explain Integrate to Disrupt Hackathon. It focuses on inspiring developers to create new experiences around conversations by integrating Symbol.ai developer platform for conversation analytics with a party SaaS. So those of you who are new to Symbol.ai, what it does, like our objective is to provide an overview about Symbol.ai platform, its product, their APIs. So Symbol AI is a conversation platform for automated conversation platform for multi-channel text, video, or voice calls. So Symbol.ai suite of APIs enable developers to track the highest point of artificial intelligence in calls with fully programmable endpoints for triggering application-specific logic to drive human results. So conversation AI for Symbol.ai covers all the natural human conversations. And in layman terms, if I would say, it would be integrate AI with their applications to integrate like natural human conversations. They can easily transcribe and extract contextual insights and intelligence from any human to human conversation. We also have like APIs like telephony, async, streaming API, and conversation API. Like, let me give you an example. We have so many meetings daily, and it's impossible to track all the note of all the meetings, and there might be some questions that been asked in the meeting or action items, and might need summary. And let's say if someone in our team is on leave, like sending them the whole 2 hour recording of the meeting won't help them much. So how about Symbol analyzing the whole text and video and sending us the actionable insights, and hence saving a lot of time. If you have this data recording with you, you need to gather data first, label it, analyze it, and building the right end user experience is also a major problem. So we can save you here. You can simply drop an API into your conversation flow to get actionable insights. You don't need to train your data with upfront training or any vague words. Isn't that simple? So, like in contrast to our previous sessions, where we merely connected or visualized one part of the conversation into another experience, you saw mapping of sentiments using emojis in the session. Uh, in this session, you will be posed with the challenge of transforming some part of the conversation to achieve analysis on par with data science. We will be also sharing the link of the connect and visualize session in the chat. And now Eric will walk you through. Uh, yeah, Eric, are you there?
Yep, definitely. Thank you so much for a thorough review of what Symbol AI is and how that relates to our efforts to inspire development around the APIs and SDKs. Let me go ahead and
Yeah,
return to the slide deck so I can piggyback on what Akansha said. Um, what is a Symbol AI? I think after hearing what Concha said, we can summarize it as follows. It is a conversation intelligence platform for developers where that developers are empowered to enable apps to understand natural human conversations across channel, be they video, audio, or text, in real time or asynchronously, in real time with our WebSockets or our telephony APIs, or asynchronously with our async APIs. It's also domain agnostic, which relates to machine learning, and it doesn't require any upfront training. We operate across the different major RTC or RTE platforms such as AWS, Twilio, Agora, or Agora. Great. So now that we've had an overview, I want to go back to setting up. So the first step that we're going to take is we're going to get a Symbol AI login account, and then we're going to go to Postman, and we're going to download the sample file, get an app ID, an app secret, and authenticate. For those of you who want to jump ahead, Akansha Bashan has already dropped in the link for grabbing the sample file for Postman. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to walk you through the steps of signing up. Okay, let me go back here. My email and my password is already loaded in the login prompt to sign in. I get my app ID and my app secret, and then I go over to Postman. What you're seeing here is a Postman application in the browser. I decided to use the browser because my Postman app wouldn't start this morning. There's some kind of versioning issue. But the Postman application for the browser works just as good. It actually has added features. So if you look over here, right here is the set of APIs for Symbol AI. I'm currently in my workspace. Let me go ahead and go over to, no, I think I'll stay in my workspace. But the great thing about Postman is that if you wanted to have different workspaces like we do at Symbol AI, you can access those here. Well, let's go ahead and move on to the next step. Those credentials that we saw earlier can be used to create an API key. With the API key, we can hit Symbol AI's APIs. I'm going to go ahead and go over here, and I'm going to grab the app ID, and I'm going to drop it in. And then I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to grab the app secret. Oops, and I'm going to drop it in. Perfect. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to send the request. When the request is successful, it returns with an access token. Our Symbol AI collection is already configured to enable you to use that access token globally throughout the entire application. Now, as Akansha Abashin mentioned earlier, we have a set of APIs. You know, there's the telephony API for PSTN or SIP connections. We also have the async API, which we'll use in a second. We also have our conversation APIs. In Postman, you configure requests in their dashboard. We have a GET request here. We have a delete request, a post request. You can use those to make requests to the APIs. Okay. So now that we've went through those steps, let's go ahead and go over a quick hello world example. So I'm going to go ahead and use the async API, and I'm going to do a short text. And instead of this long text, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do hello world. And then I'm going to do developer. I'm going to do developer at developer.com. Cool. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to send that, right? And I'm sending text. You can use this text API to mirror the chat messages. Once you mirror them, you create a conversation ID. With the conversation ID, you can access Symbol AI's conversational intelligence. I was able to generate a conversation ID, so I can take that conversation ID over to the conversation. I can get the messages on that. I drop the conversation ID between those double curly braces. Now I'm able to access the post request that I had sent to Symbol AI. Now, if I wanted to take this to the next level, let's say, for instance, I wanted to have a visual summary of the conversation that is updated in real time, I could go over here where I drop the conversation ID into the variable. After dropping it into the variable, I get this link. I open up this link. And after I open up the link, you can see that the attendee is developer, and the message is hello world. Great. So if you have any questions about Postman or how to get up and running with Symbol AI in Postman, questions about your credentials or what APIs to hit, right now is a great time to ask before we head into a discussion of what it means to transform.
And just an announcement. Yeah. So those who have submitted for the ideation phase, uh, you will get all the results by next week. So stay tuned. So we have Divyansh and Nagaraju joined in. So there's one question. What are the limits of API? So how Simple.ai works is we provide like minutes. So and you get only 1,000 minutes, but those who are participating in Integrate to Disrupt Hackathon, they get like additional 3,000 minutes. You don't need to worry about minutes. Even if you run down of all the minutes, we will definitely give you those additional extra minutes as well for your project.
Great. So I want to direct you back to the overview section. We've covered getting started with Symbol AI. During that process, I gave you an overview of Symbol AI's APIs. Now I want to go on to the next session, next part of the session, Symbol AI's Python SDK, how to use that SDK to hit a conversation API, and then we'll have a Q&A. As you saw earlier, we discussed what Symbol AI is. Now, before we go into how it is that we're going to interact with the Python SDK or the conversation APIs, I want to show you what flows are available along the themes that we outlined for the Hacker Earth Hackathon. In the session that we have today, we're going to go from audio recorded to Symbol AI to speech recognition to conversation quality and analytics. These are general flows. In that flow, you're taking an element of a conversation. You are transforming that element of a conversation from something like a polarity score into something that is human readable or a different way of representing the form of that particular conversation element. And if you wanted to read in more detail about that theme, the theme is listed here on the web page. Just to be precise, you would ingest live or recorded streams. You would index the important moments in the conversation, like we're going to do today with the sentiments. And then you transform that into some other form of representation, right? You know, sentiments, action items to memes or follow-up appointments on an SMS, for instance. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to do that with the Symbol AI Python SDK. Cool. So I want to go ahead and move over to the next slide. So we've already gotten started with Symbol AI. Now I'm going to go ahead and give you a brief overview of the Python SDK, and we're going to talk about Python pandas and Matplotlib. Okay, let me go ahead and go over to the docs. So the first step in the docs is to go over what it is that the Python SDK is. Essentially, the Python SDK is a convenient way for developers to access Symbol AI's APIs through what is essentially a wrapper. We wrap the functionality of an API into methods within the SDK so that we can use these convenience methods to hit the API endpoints to derive data from our conversations. In many cases, data science is not necessarily directed towards conversation data, but with Symbol AI's Python SDK, you can take an entirely new direction towards data science analysis. Today's demonstration of sentiment analysis is one step in that direction. So if you've had a chance to take a look at the doc,
And I've also dropped in the link in the chat section.
okay,
And
great,
yeah.
great. Um, so the first step in the Python SDK is to install the SDK. A lot of people have their own particular environments. The environment that we're going to use today is a collab document. So if you wanted to access this collab document, um, the place to go to get the collab document or to create a collab document is at collab.research.google.com. The great thing about a Colab research document is that you're able to run the code snippets in cells, but the cells are capable of communicating across each other. Great, okay. So let me go back to the Python SDK. So to install the Python SDK in your environment, you would do pip install upgrade symbol. Or pip, -in pip install -- upgrade symbol. If you wanted to install from the source, you could do it this way. I recommend that you do it through pip. Now, one other thing that's really important to mention as a best practice, we recommend that you use a token server or something of the like to securely store your credentials. In this particular demo, we're going to go ahead and we're going to store our credentials inline. You can read more about configuration in the documentation section on that. And then last but not least is using the Python SDK. So the Python SDK requires minimal effort from us to get up and running. The first step is to import the SDK. And then after that, you can set up payloads like the one that you see here. And you can pass those payloads to Symbol AI's API endpoints. Like the one here. And then you can get your conversation objects. We're going to go ahead and we're going to do that. So let's go ahead and head over to that collaborative document. Now, before I go into how to use pandas or matplotlib, I want to give you a brief overview of how pandas or data frames or plots work. They're really, really simple. Although they may appear daunting at first, you can easily master them. So pandas is basically an open source library for easy to use data structures with data analysis tools. In addition, a data frame is a two-dimensional labeled data structure with columns of potentially different types. And so if you look here, what I've done is I went ahead and I declared a data frame, and I set up the values for an A and a B column. These are essentially arrays. This is a dictionary of arrays. And that gives us a set of points. And then if you go over here and you drop the plot command on that, you can map the A array to the X array, X-axis, and the Y array to the B array. Cool. Okay. So the first step is, as I said, to go ahead and add symbol to install Symbol AI. What's interesting is it gives you like a real-time analysis of your system resources. It's a really great feature by Google. And then the next step is to import Symbol AI. Once you've imported it, you create a payload. Here we've created a payload with sample data. And then over here, we created a credentials dictionary, just like the one that you saw in the configuration section of the documentation. And inside of that credential dictionary, we have our app ID and our app secret, like I showed you earlier from the Postman example. And then we have a variable that we use to store the results of passing the payload and the credentials into our process URL on the audio API. I want to go back to Postman just to show you what that is really. It makes sense to take a look here. So you have audio URL, essentially the line of code that I showed you earlier is the same as this post request. Let me see here if I can get a hold of the one, really great feature about Postman is you can see the code. So essentially, this is what we are doing. We're sending the same thing, same information when we're making a call to the process URL through the Python SDK. Python is handling it as opposed to Perl, right? Okay. And then after that, what we want to do is we want to save the response data from a new query. We access the response data that we received from processing the audio file. We run a method on it for getting messages. That's going to be the same thing as the conversation API's get messages, except now we're going to be using Python to handle that request instead of Postman, and then we're going to pass in a parameter sentiment true, right? It would be the equivalent to saying this. Okay, I'm trying to stretch that. Anyway, yeah. Okay, so yeah, you can see here, what you see here is essentially almost identical to what you see here in Python. Now, earlier we had, two arrays. We had an A array and a B array. Now we have two arrays, timestamps and polarities, and we've empty initialized them. And after empty initializing them, we're going to go ahead and we're going to store the data that we fetch from the call to the conversation. And we're going to loop through that data, and we're going to store the start times for each of the messages, and then we're going to save the polarity scores for each of those messages so that we have start time data or timestamps on one side, polarity scores on the other. And we're going to go ahead and run that command. Cool, the job ID turned out. We're working on the text. Cool. So we've got what we need now loaded inside of timestamps and polarities. Now the next step is to import pandas as PD. We're going to create a data frame, right? As I said earlier, a data frame is a two-dimensional labeled data structure with columns of potentially different types. After we create the data frame, we're going to set up the timestamps on one side, the polarities on the other. And that handles pandas. Now, Matplotlib is a data visualization tool, and it's embedded inside of the Colab environment, so we won't be importing that. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to run play here, and then we'll play over here. And we're going to go ahead and see that this is plotted out to voila. On the left-hand side, we have the polarity scores, and on the right-hand side, we have our timestamps. So why is this valuable? It's important to note that this is valuable because, let's say, for instance, you are a gym owner who has a bunch of bicycles that people use for cycling. And you have sensors enabled on the spoke where the wheel is turned by the crank. And you also have sensors on the rubber belt that will crank the wheels. And you have several gyms, and you have a data scientist who is monitoring the wear and tear that is relayed through the sensors on those bicycles. And you want to know, what is the number of rubber, not chains, the rubber wheels, and the number of like tires that you need to have in order to keep your fleet of bicycles running for your gym participants. So if you have the wear and tear to the time that wear and tear occurs, you get for every single bicycle a plot, and then the plot will start out at the top, and then as the top would be the top quality, and then as the gym members continue to use the fleet of bicycles, the quality of those two items begins to taper until finally you can figure out, based on the time series analysis, when you're most likely to be expected to replace that rubber wheel or the rubber chain. And in a similar way, you're able to do that with Symbol AI's Python SDK for data science with conversation data. And you only need a couple of lines of code. Now, our demo today only used the two libraries, and we didn't have to do much at all to get a hold of polarity scores and timestamps and create a time series analysis. Now you can imagine that, let's say for instance, I'm an administrator at a call center, and I have a lot of different calls, and I like to make sure that the calls are great calls for the customers because we made a commitment to customer service. And I want to see what or where a call will make a turn. And I want to make sure that all the calls have rising polarity scores, right? A lot of people think that, the variable we need is the average. What is the best variable for call center analysis, right? I want the average of the sentiments to be great. It may not be the best metric, because when you are on a customer call, you want to turn the customer from a hostile customer, to a dissatisfied customer to a satisfied customer. And so as you see here, the conversation starts out and then it dips, and then it picks back up and it goes up, up. And that's the kind of turn in a conversation where you would say, as an administrator administering call center analytics, hey, the agent was able to turn the call from dissatisfied customer to satisfied customer. And I was able to see that. And, you know, on the flip side, you know, if you see a customer call and it goes up and it bops down, you know, you could get a notification and then pops up on your dashboard, the visualization that we see, and you're like, hey, you know, what can I do to help out? You know, you hop on the call. This is a part of a larger effort to create, you know, multi-channel, contextual, artificially intelligent calls that limit the amount of time that you have to take as a human being to get what you need done efficiently. I think it's a really great thing that you can do with Symbol AI. Now, I want to open up the floor to questions about this thing. So I'm going to go ahead and leave the chat open for a minute to see if you guys have any questions.
And I hope you understood the transformation of timestamp polarity data into time series analysis graph of sentiments over timestamps using our Python SDK. And if you have any doubts, feel free to post it in the chat section. And in the meantime, I'm also sharing the link of symbol.ai Slack channel as well. Like if you want to dig deeper, do refer our docs. And if you feel stuck, just join our Slack channel and ask your doubts on hashtag support channel. And we have a fantastic like community members over there. We have developers, student developers, people working in different companies. We have professionals as well as some founders that have joined our channel. So feel free to network, share your stuff, like promote your stuff over there. And if you have any doubts, do let us know. Yeah, 1 second.
We can share the link of this collab. Yes, I think that we're syncing up with the marketing team to put together a post on social media where you'll be able to not only grab a copy of the collab doc or the contents of its code, but retweet, like, or transfer to some other social media.
Yeah. And we also have a symbol.ai contest that's live. We just promoted it yesterday. It's a 1 week contest, and if you are like interested in making memes related to developer related memes, do share us. Like it's just 1 day, and we had like 5 6 submissions over there. So that's really cool. So do join us. And we have many giveaways, Twitter giveaways, and many other contests and happy hours lined up in the month of July. So just to celebrate the developer month.
I think that's great.
Hmm.
Wonderful.
Yeah, we have a question from Anusha. Would you be able to share the link of this collab? Okay.
Yeah, definitely. So let's go ahead and give a recap now that we've had a chance to demonstrate what we can do with the Symbol AI's Python SDK. We talked about what Symbol AI is. It's a conversation intelligence platform for developers to create new experiences in or around conversations that occur on voice, video, messaging, or broadcast streams. It has a bunch of APIs. These are sectioned into sources like telephony or async APIs, like the one that we used in the Python SDK. And we also have SDKs to help developers get up and running with our products. Today, we also used Python libraries. The great thing about SimbleAI's SDK is that you're able to create interactions in code with other libraries without much effort at all. If you want to get up and running on a data science scheme to analyze conversation data from your conversations, um, where, even in our example, there was no private information revealed about either of the speakers, you can do that ASAP, no problem. We have basically everything that you need to get up and running, no problem. Okay, cool. And now I just want to point out the resources that are available. And the resources that are available are our docs. We showed you the docs for SimbleAI's Python SDK. We also showed you a Twilio sample app, github.com/SimbleAI/symbol-Twilio video React. And we also want you to know that there are other projects on GitHub. We have projects for AWS Chime Adapter. We have projects for Agora's real-time app builder. The real-time app builder is a low or no-code app builder that allows you to build applications on the fly, no problem. It comes with SimbleAI integrated into it right out of the box. So there's a lot of great repositories or sample codes on GitHub that you can use to create, your own connected call application. And last but not least, I want to mention that we have a Slack channel that Akansha invited you to join through a share with the link. We also have Twitter channels. We have a Symbol Dev channel, and we have a Symbol.ai channel. So we're looking forward to connecting with you beyond the scope of our hackathon so that we can help you continue to develop your cutting edge use cases.
Yep. And I've also dropped all the links. And we also have one question from Bhavani.
Who?
Let me put it up. Can we upload an audio file or text file and get the transcriptions using async API, like a file upload and get a transcript as a response?
Yeah, we
And
can definitely do that.
hmm, and there's one more question. Are there any MuleSoft connector for Simple AI that we can use in the middleware?
Um, we haven't created a MuleSoft connector for SimbleAI, but if you are interested in creating a MuleSoft connector for SimbleAI, we would like you to contact us in the Slack channel so that we can help you launch that product idea or developer tool idea. We like to support developers developing tools like the one that you are talking about. So please reach out to us about the MuleSoft connector. We would be happy to figure out how we can help make that, we can help realize that for you.
Yes, and we would love to feature you as well in our socials. Like whosoever builds something new and innovative, we have a developer spotlight series. So that's to celebrate all the developers, and we share it in all our social channels as well.
Perfect. Okay. So it looks like those are all the questions. We just want to know before we hop off the stream if Anosha, Bhavani, and Naga, Divyanash, if you guys have signed up for Symbol AI, we want to share the link for you to get 3,000 free minutes. Cool. Okay. Great. So we want to give you one last chance to sign up for the promo before we hop off the stream. If there's no more questions, Akanksha and I are going to go ahead and close out the stream.
Yep. And I've shared the link as well.
Oh,
Great,
awesome.
Anushka.
Yeah, let's give a shout out to Anosha. Anosha went ahead and signed up for Symbol AI. Thank you, Anosha. Connect with us on Slack. We would love to hear more about your use cases. Cool.
Awesome.
Awesome. Okay. Close out the screen.
Okay, bye everyone.